Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In my last video, we had a look at the integration architecture diagram, and in today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into the inbound and outbound data flows, and especially the FBDI and its corresponding SOAP APIs, because this is the most commonly used integration method in Oracle Fusion. And I'll walk you through how they work, their use cases, and how you can combine them effectively in your integration architecture. So for the inbound data, there are two ways to do it. The first one is through the manual upload. So we can manually upload the data using the FBDI method. And the second one is to automatically to import the data using the Oracle Web Services, which is the SOAP APIs. So what exactly is FBDI? FBDI stands for File-Based Data Import, and it is Oracle's standard method for importing large volumes of data into Fusion applications. And it is designed for batch upload of bulk data. So how do we use it? It involves using the predefined Excel templates to structure data, generating CSV files, and then loading the files into the application. So FBDI is typically used for two scenarios. The first one is for initial data migration in an ERP implementation project when we want to bring the data across from legacy systems. That's when we do the data migration and we use the FBDI. The second use is that if we want to import the batch data periodically, for example, like suppliers, inventory items, purchase orders, payable invoices, receivable invoices, and general ledgers, etc. This is an example of the AP invoice FBDI process flow. So this is a step-by-step process. We need to prepare the data first and fill up the FBDI template and then go into the Fusion applications and submit two ESS jobs. And if they complete successfully, and then we can check the report in Fusion to know the execution details. This is a typical FBDI process flow. There are three major steps that we need to follow. Step one is to prepare the FBDI file. So the first thing we do is to download the official FBDI template from Oracle website. You can usually find it in the file-based data import documentation or directly Google. Now let's go to the Oracle website, and this is a web page for payables invoice import. And there's a section called File Links. And we can find there's a link for the template and click this link. And then the template has been downloaded. Let's open the file. And there's a warning message, enable the content. So this is how a typical FBDI template looks like. The first worksheet usually contains instructions, and it's also used for generating the CSV files. The other worksheets are where you actually enter the data, and each worksheet corresponds to a specific interface table. In those worksheets, the sample data is already provided by Oracle, so we can refer to that. And any column marked with a single asterisk is mandatory, so make sure those fields are properly filled in. And if a column has two asterisks, it usually means that one of the two related fields must be filled. So for example here, there are supplier name and supplier numbers. So one of those two needs to be filled in. So the next step is that we fill in the data according to the template and the validation requirements here. And once everything is ready, we save the file, we go to the first worksheet and click this button so that we can save this file into a CSV format and finally into a zip file. And the zip file will be used for the import process in the next step. Now let me show you how to do this. There's one example I have already created and filled in the data. Let me go to my template and open the file. As we can see, there's one invoice that I want to import into the system. And I go to the instructions, click this button. And now it's asking me where I want to save this file. I want to rename the file demo_01 and save. And now it's running. It's doing some validations. Okay, and now the first prompt is asking if we want to save this CSV file and click save. And now for the AP invoice line interface, save it as well. And finally, if we can see there's a prompt like this, which means the process has completed successfully, CSV and zip files have been created, click OK. Now it's done. And go back to the folder, demo_01.zip. So the zip file has already been created. And now we need to open this file to check what are the things included. So let's unzip this. As we can see, there are two CSV files. Okay. And I actually recommend using the Notepad++ to open the CSV files. And this is how the data looks like. So in terms of integrations, what we actually do is we use the integration programs to mimic this human execution process and to create the data in this format. We'll talk about this later in more details. After completing the step 1, we move on to the step 2. The step 2 is to load the FBDI file into the interface table. The name of the ESS job that we're going to run is called load interface file for import. So let's go to the system to have a look. Now we need to go to the tools, schedule processes, and schedule a new process and search load interface, and this is the one. Okay, click OK. And we can see there are two parameters here. The first one is the name of the process that we need to define. This is a drop-down list. And search import payables, invoices. Okay. And the second parameter is data file. So now we need to upload the data file that is generated by the FBDI template. So let's pick up the demo on the scroll 01.zip. Click OK and submit. And now we can see the file is running, the process is running. Okay. This ESS job generates 2 child processes, as we can see here. And this child process corresponds to one of the CSV files, because we have 2 CSV files included in the archive. So we've got 2 child processes here. And now the ESS job has completed running and the status is succeeded. Okay, and you can also check the logs here. Okay. After the files have been imported into the interface tables, the next step, if we go back to the slide, is to just run the import process ESS job. Okay, so we need to submit a new job and select import payables, and this is one that we can use to import the data from the interface tables into Fusion systems. And there's a business unit that we need to choose. We need to go back to the FBDI template to identify the value. Okay, and the source is open invoice. And there's a parameter called import set. So this is the unique identifier. If we go back to the template, copy the value from the template and put it here and submit the data. The process is running. Another process, the child process, has been triggered. So for payables invoices import, this one will generate a report as a separate ESS job. So we can check out the execution summary here. So both of them are completed successfully, and let's go to the output. This is BIP report. Total invoice rejected. So why it's rejected? It says duplicate invoice number. Invoice number for the supplier or party already exists. Alright, so let's check. Go back to the template and pick up the invoice number and go into the system to have a look. Let's replicate the page. So that's what I always do, okay? You need to open multiple windows here. One is to check the ESS job. The other one is to check the data in the system. Okay, invoice number. Yeah, this one already exists in Oracle ERP. So the import process failed because of this. Okay. So what I'll do is that I'll modify the invoice number, change it, and also I want to change the import set. So today is 27th, 001. Okay. Let me copy this into the description and save this template, and then follow the process again to generate the file, the zip file. Okay. Demo02, save. Okay, done. And submit the data again. Go to the first ESS job, load interface file for import, and then pick up payables. Payables, it's called import payables, invoices. Okay, and then pick up the file. Demo underscore 02. Click OK. Submit. This should be processed very quickly. Okay, completed, and refresh the button. Succeeded. Okay, and now move on to the second one. Import payables invoices. Click OK. And I need to find out the business unit. Go back to the template. And the source that we use is open invoice. Okay, and copy the value. The import set from the template and submit again. Refresh. Running, succeeded. Let's go to the report to check. The number of the total invoices imported successfully, 1. Okay. And the invoice number is this one, the one that we put into the template. And let's go to the system, go to the invoices to check. And now this is the invoice that we have imported successfully using the FBDI process. Now let's check the data in the UCM. So what exactly is Oracle UCM? It stands for the Universal Content Management, and it's a component of Oracle Web Center content. So basically this is nothing but a cloud content management server. When we do the files import, the files will be uploaded into this cloud server. So let's have a look. Go to the UCM server, and now this is a home page of the content server, and search. The first two files, they are the files that we imported into the system using the FBDI process. And if you click the link here, the zip file will be downloaded. Okay, and we can see that's exactly what we have imported into the system. Now we've walked through the manual FBDI process, including how to prepare the Excel template, zip the file, and run the import jobs. So let's take a look at how we can automate or mimic this entire workflow from an integration perspective. This slide outlines the end-to-end integration flow for importing AP invoices using Oracle ERP Integration Service. So what exactly is ERP Integration Service? This is a SOAP-based web service provided by Oracle ERP Cloud that allows external systems to submit data import requests programmatically without manual intervention. And this workflow mirrors the manual steps but replaces them with service operations, enabling automation in enterprise integrations. So those boxes in the brown color, they are actually the service operations. And this essentially automates what we just did manually. It handles file upload to UCM, interface table populations, ESS job triggering, and status monitoring. And all of them can be done through web service operations. So let me explain how the process works using the ERP Integration Service. So step one, we still need to start this process by preparing the data using the standard FBDI template. So which means, for example, for AP invoice, we still need to have two CSV files generated by programming. Okay? And we still need to zip the generated CSV files just as before. So this is all done by integration and programming. And now, instead of logging in and manually uploading the zip file, we need to use the web service operations to do it. So the first one, there's a number 1 here. This is called upload file to UCM. And this is one of the operations provided by this integration service. We need to use this service to do it. There are multiple operations available depending on the use case, and the most commonly used ones are submit ESS job request. And this one can be used to mimic 3 different ESS jobs. And the first one is to load interface file for import. And the second one is the import process for the specific data object. And the third one is to purge the interface table. And then the next commonly used one is get ESS job status. By using this one, we can know if this job is successful or it fails. And then sometimes we need to download the logs and the output. So we need to use the download export output. And now we go to the next slide. This one introduces the key operations provided by ERP Integration Service, and those are the screenshots from SoapUI. Okay. And each part of the process can be executed through a dedicated web service operation as we introduced just now. And here's how the flow works programmatically. Step one is to use the upload file to UCM operation to upload the zip file from to the Oracle's Universal Content Management Server. And then it goes to the step two, is to use this load file to interface operation to move the file from UCM server into the appropriate interface tables. And then the third one, so have a look at this. It's actually the example for importing the purchase orders. Okay, so there's a job definition name here. It's import SPO job. So this represents the ESS job import orders. By using this one, we can bring the data from the interface tables into the base application tables. And then the fourth one is get the ESS job status. Okay, and the next one is download the log. By using this one, we can retrieve the output. And then the final one is the purge data. We can use this service operation to clean up the interface tables once everything is successfully imported. So those operations give us the step-by-step control and are particularly useful when you want to handle validations and error checks between different stages. So instead of calling each web service operation separately, Oracle also provides a simplified alternative, which is import bulk data operation. The import bulk data essentially wraps up the entire process, including loading the data into interface tables and submitting the import ESS job into a single call. And this approach is much more streamlined and is ideal for most bulk data import use cases where you don't need to intervene between the steps. Now let's move on to the next one. This is a screenshot from the SoapUI which shows how to use the import bulk data operation. It's got all the necessary parameters. So this is typically one of the first few steps when building or testing an integration. We need to manually validate the payload outside of OIC, and it helps to confirm that the connection parameters and the backend ERP setup to make sure all of them are correct before we automate the integration call. Once you have tested the import bulk data call in the SoapUI, you can easily integrate that into the OIC. This is how it looks like. So as shown here, you can configure a SOAP connection using the ERP Integration Service WSDL. And once this is set up, one of the options will be import bulk data into Oracle ERP Cloud. We can directly choose this option and then choose the specific import process. So this is going to be very straightforward. Now we've completed the introduction of inbound data integration. Let's move on to the outbound data integration. So the most commonly used approach will be using the BI publisher in combination with the external report web services. With this method, we design the BIP report to fetch the data and then expose it as a web service. So in the OIC, we call this service to retrieve the data output. So this is an example of the payload in SoapUI. So in the request payload, we can see we've got the report path and the values and the parameters, everything. And in the response payload, we can see that the data is actually encoded. So this is 64-base encoded data. So in the OIC, when we get the response from this report, we need to decode the data. Now let's move on to the final slide to have a look at the summary. Let's have a look at the table. On the inbound side, external systems can send the data into Oracle using three ways. The first one is FBDI, which is a manual process. And the second one is ERP Integration Service, which allows us to automate the FBDI imports via SOAP web services. And the third one is to support the real-time transactions. We can use the REST or the SOAP APIs. On the right-hand side, we have a look at the outbound. For the outbound data flows, Oracle provides BI Publisher reports, and the BI Publisher reports can be accessed using the external report services to pull the structured data like XML or CSV. Apart from that, we can also use the REST and SOAP APIs to query the application data for the real-time needs and integrate with the third-party platforms or the downstream systems. I hope you found this session helpful in understanding Oracle ERP integration methods. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.